This is Chris Pike, and you're watching Matburn, and go Huskies.
Welcome to Matburn. Today, we have an exclusive Matburn breaking news. We all know who the next coach of Hewitt-Trussville is going to be. Who's it going to be, Greg? Chris
Not
Pike. Welcome, Chris Pike. How are you?
I'm great. How y'all doing tonight?
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're very excited about this news.
I'm too.
So you must be thrilled to get out of the thumb and the shadow of Sean Wilson.
I don't know about that. But
Take him
I thought we worked together.
Oh,
I enjoyed working with him.
I mean,
that's what I meant. Man, it's going to be some kind of metro area competition coming up with Hicks going to Hoover and Chris going off to Hewitt. It's going to be quite the competition for you, Sean.
yep, it is.
I think he'll be up for the challenge.
You think so? So
I've still got Barnes to back him up, though.
That's right.
that's right. Well, last time I heard, Sean was going to move down to the middle school and give Brandon Womack the reins. But since Brandon didn't bother showing up, I'm not going to, tell him to take any jobs anymore. I have to cut his pay. So I'm trying to bring up this little message that Chris sent me earlier with all his job history. But why don't you just tell me, since I can't find it?
Here we go. I'll send it to you. Well, for me, you want my history of what all I've been through? I can do that.
Well, I know you were at Pelham High School.
Oh, go before that.
But
Yeah,
I don't know
before that.
Yeah.
So my first wrestling job was at Shades Valley High School. I was hired, and actually there's a funny story about that too. That's how me and Bob Parker became really, really close. I got hired at Shades Valley High School to be the head wrestling coach and DB coach, the varsity DB coach. And when I went there, I'd never been a head coach of anything, so I knew about the sport, I knew different stuff. I didn't really know much about being a head coach. And my assistant was Chad Merrill. I'm sorry, it's Cody Merrill, not Chad, it was Cody. It was Cody Merrill. I get the
Man, that coach's carousel just goes round and round.
So Cody was my assistant. But we were there, and I'd set stuff up. We were going to do a home event. Well, I had no idea how you set up all this stuff. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I'd never done it before. Nobody ever showed me. And so my first one was right around before the Christmas holidays, and we had Pelham, and I forget the other team, but I know Pelham came over to wrestle us. And Coach Parker showed up, and I'm talking about this because Bob was Sean's coach, and so
Yeah, what year was this, by the way?
This would be 2003.
Okay, thank you.
So he come in, he goes,
Are you taking notes, Sean?
Well, no, I got some questions here.
He said, Chris, nobody took up any money out there. I said, yeah, I didn't know how to do it or what to do, so I just didn't do it. He said, you're not going to make any money. I said, I don't care. Let's just wrestle. He goes, no, that's not right. We need to help you. I said, okay. So I turned around. I went to get something for our kids, and I come back in there, and Bob Parker had him and his parents were walking around the stands with buckets, taking up money for entry fee for my home event. He said, I got your money for your gate. I said,
Wow.
That was my
the class act, Coach Parker.
I said, and he told me, he said, if you need anything on how to run anything from here on out, you just call me and I'll help you. I said, yes, sir. And so I did. Until I kind of got my feet on the ground and started going. I called Bob Parker all the time for stuff. And then I left there, and actually I took a year out of wrestling. I went to Pleasant Grove to work with a friend of mine because suppose they felt like we had a good shot at there to go and win a state championship in football. And so I took a job out there. We went to the semis and got stomped by Homewood that year. And then I was really kind of missed wrestling and football, to go along with it. So
you were a football coach before you were a wrestling coach?
I was, because when I played football down at West Alabama, then I was a student coach for 3 years. I coached at West Alabama, and then I left there. And the first job I actually got was at Jemison Middle School, and which I tried to get them to start wrestling when I was there, but they wouldn't do it. And but I mean, I got hired the day before school started. I was driving around trying to find jobs because I got a phone call from the principal. He said, "We'd like you to come to interview." I said, "Well, I'm actually in South Alabama right now, so I'm not able to be there." And he said, "Well, school starts tomorrow. Can we just do your interview now over the phone?" I said, "Yeah, we can do that." So that's while driving up from near Florida up, I interviewed with him on the phone, and in my truck driving up, he said, "All right, see you in the morning." That's how I got my first teaching job. But so I went from Jemison to Shades Valley, and then Pleasant Grove, and then so I left. I really missed wrestling, so I left there and I went to Pell City, and I was the head coach there. And when I was there, we had Eric Lee, who was a 7th grader at the time. He left, of course, before he left, and went to Oxford. Yeah. They moved to Oxford, but we had Eric Lee. Then I had the Smith kids, where they had one. I only had one Smith kid in the program at the time. The Smith family, about 6 of them came through. The rest of them were all young in the youth program at the time, and but we started that program. We only had like 6 kids when we started, and I was there from 2005 all the way to 2010. And so I actually left there, and then when I left Pell City, I went to Pelham. And the whole reason I left, I mean, I enjoyed it at Pell City, good people, but I wanted to get kind of a better opportunity for Riley, because that was when I left to go to Pelham. That's when Riley was getting ready to go to middle school. So I went out there, and actually, I went out there. I coached football out there, and then that's, of course, before they had 7A. So that was actually we were in the same region as Vestavia and Hoover, and and all those schools, and Thompson, except all those schools. And so I was there, and whenever I was at Pelham, the first year I was the head coach at River Chase. Pollard was head coach. And the second year, Pollard was like, "Here, you're going to do it if you want to." I was like, "Okay." And so we worked together. And but when we first got there, I said, "All right, Riley," I said, "we're going to have a good team here." I said, "You're going to middle school here, and I'm coaching the high school, so I need you to get me as many kids as you can out." And so he recruited. He's helped get Hassan back out. He got Dylan Turner to come out. He got Giovanni to come back out. And we had several others, but those were just some of the names that people may recognize. So we had a big group. We finished like 3rd in the Metro tournament that year. And then they found out that we weren't actually in the Metro, so they made a rule that nobody wasn't actually in the Metro. So we were in there. That was at Thompson that year, is where that Metro tournament was. And so at the old middle school, I guess it's a 6th grade school now. And
how do you find out that you're not in Metro?
Because all of your sports have to be in Metro. If not all your sports, then none of your sports.
Wrestling was just one of those ones that they let slide in and didn't talk about until somebody didn't like what place they were getting, and then they kind of went, "Oh wait, yeah, y'all don't belong here."
Yeah, so
is there a sign-up form? I mean, how do you get into Metro?
Your athletic director at your school has to put in a request, and they have to go before the board, and the Metro board agrees to allow you in or out. And so that's kind of like actually going into this year, Bragg, which was in another league, they rejoined the Metro, but they had to go before the Metro board and get approved before they could get back in. And
so I guess the question would be, who came in 4th that year? They got
Hewitt-Trussville did.
Oh, Hewitt-Trussville. So it's all come full circle now.
It was all part of his plan.
The master plan of revenge, yes.
So we had that one, and then the next year we were pretty good again. But the next year, a couple of those kids we had to pull up in their 8th graders. We pulled them up to varsity, and when we were there, but then I was fine. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be head coach of Pelham's, pretty good place. We got a good room. We got Warriors right down this way. We had at the time Christian Staler was over at the Vestavia at the time, so we had kids going to both. We're like, oh, this is really good. And Sean had called me multiple times, and I was like, no, no, no. And he told me, he goes, you'll never be great if you don't step out of your comfort zone. And I believed him. So I did. And so I went in there and I told him, I said, look, I want to transfer over there. And Mr. Coach Montgomery was the football coach, and Dr. Steele was the principal, and gave my exams at Pelham. And then the next day I went and talked to Dr. Steele, and then he had me moved in. And then next thing you know, bam, I'm at Thompson, and of course I stayed there.
How many championships in were you into there?
He had won 2, so I came in at number 3.
Okay.
And so we had whenever we got there,
a lot of people say that the first 2 were just sheer luck.
It was flukes.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It wasn't until you arrived at Thompson that the program really took off?
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that. I mean, it was – and nobody's going to lie.
I wouldn't say that, but –
no, we'll say it for you, Chris. Don't worry.
I mean –
we were. Hey, I was there. I coached wrestling for 7 years there, and my 1 year I took a year off and I officiated that year because I had a lot of stuff going on personally, and so I was like, and everybody in the state thought me and Sean were fighting and didn't like each other, and I was like,
yeah,
we're fine.
I was like, we're fine. That's not true.
Actually, after that year, I'd actually go.
That's what I told everybody.
In fact, they're unnaturally close. That's what it is.
Whoa.
So I went back to him like before, not this season, the year before. I said, hey, all right, I'm good. My head's clear. Everything's good. I said, I'm ready to start coaching. He's all right. So I'd already told the kids I was coming back in there. And then I went home, and I'm literally laying on the couch watching the College World Series. It was the LSU game. I was sitting there watching it. And I get a phone call on my phone from a Miami phone company, and I'm like, this got to be a teleconference. And I usually don't answer, but I said, I'm gonna mess with this one. And I answered the phone, and he goes, Coach Pike. I'm like, oh, that's not a teleprompter or telemarketer. So this is Patrick Nix from Pinson Valley High School. Coach Hicks wanted me to call and talk to you. I'm like, okay. So I talked with him for a while, and he wanted me to come over there, and it was kind of a godsend how it happened.
Because he said, you'll never be great unless you take a chance. Is that what happened?
No, I mean, he didn't really say that at that time, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I think about that all the time. The reason it was such a big, I was fine, because but in reality, like a lot of people are aware of, my wife had passed away 6 months earlier than that. And so I had, and I had purchased a home and everything on 2 incomes. Well, that income was gone now. So now it was just one. And this job actually put me 30 minutes closer to my house, and it was a $900 a month pay raise. So there's the reason why I left Thompson that, and also I wanted to work with Patrick Nix, number one, because he is, when he talked to him, it just really, he's a fascinating person. I'm an Alabama guy through and through. Everybody knows that. And Patrick Nix was a quarterback at Auburn, but you know what? I respect him a lot, and the stuff he talks about, the stuff he does. I mean, he's a top-notch man, and I think more to him. And I wanted to work with Coach Hicks also. Hicks has been a friend of mine for many years. I've worked with Sean, who's I consider a good friend of mine, and won championships, seen how he does things, and understand how he runs his program to be as successful. I was like, well, Matt's won a whole lot too. So what has he done? So I wanted to see what he was doing too. And so it was I got the pay raise, plus I got to work with 2 people who have won a lot of championships and run programs. I was like, it's a win-win. And so that was what my goal. When I talked to Coach Nix, he has a son, Caleb. He'll be the starter at Central Phoenix this year, I assume. And he'll be a junior this year. His plan was he was going to be there for 3 years. And then he was going to move on and watch Caleb in college and Bo finishing up at Auburn and maybe going to NFL or whatever route that takes him. And that's kind of the way his plan was. But obviously that wasn't the way everything worked out. And, and everything worked out for a reason. But that's how I got from Livingston, Alabama, back home to Trussville, Alabama. So that's my path in coaching to get where I'm at.
So you've basically had dream job after dream job.
I've had some very good jobs. It's like, I talked to my dad and he's like, he said, you've had to move around, but everywhere you've moved, for the most part, they've been good moves. They've been good moves for your career. At first you panic. Well, I used to panic. I've been dating a girl, and I've been engaged to her for over a year. And she's a teacher. I actually went to school with her too. And she's been teaching for 20 years at the same school. She's a kindergarten teacher. And when I talked about leaving Thompson at first, and she was kind of like, well, why are you going to give up tenure? I said, well, I'm a coach. She didn't understand that. It just blew her mind. But then when I was getting ready to leave Pinson to go to Trussville, she was like, are you sure? I was like, just trust me. She said, why are you not nervous? I said, because this is what we do. I said, it just is what it is. Mm-hmm. I said, I've been in many moves here and there. It's just coaches it's just different than teaching in the classroom. Obviously I love teaching the classroom too. I'll be back in the history classroom this coming year. So I'm looking forward to that too.
So Chris, you were just a newlywed when your wife passed away.
That is correct.
And how much of that influenced your decision to leave Thompson and try something new? Is that something you needed to do for yourself?
Part of it, I would say part of it was, but that wasn't emotionally at the moment. I was fine at that point in time. What happened was, for people who don't know, is, I had been married for a year roughly, and my wife, she committed suicide, and and she had 3 boys, and I just proceeded to raise them through the rest of the school year because their dad had not really been a part of their life very much at that time. And so I got in touch with him and we talked. And so he was like, I want to say, well, that's fine. You can get them, but they're going to finish the school year with me. Number 1. I said, number 2, you're going to prove that you want to be there, because I haven't seen you I've seen you twice in nearly 2 years. So that's, and so I set up visitations. He came weekly, every weekend, picked them up and began to make that transition. And I missed a lot of time when it first happened, obviously. When I came back to the school, I'll never forget. I came back, and my desk, I had cards, big cards that all my students had put, and teachers and the faculty. I ain't gonna lie, I just broke down. And I went back home. I couldn't really stay for a while, and then I went to intensive counseling. I got in Bible study groups. I went to grief share groups, and I talked with Greg a lot too. He helped me too. And, I sought out people who had been through similar stuff and what to do. And, because when you first go through stuff like that, people are, the first thing you go through is people think, you think, well, what could I have done different? Why was it? What did I do? Why was it? And then you begin to realize that it was not my fault. There's nothing I could do. And Greg gave me an analogy that I never forgot, and it really hit. He said, when somebody's going through depression, and maybe this will help somebody out there in some sense, it's like you're standing on a train tracks, and you see way down there, you can see a light, and that light's coming, and there's nothing you can do about it at some point in time. And it's just a matter of, you have to, whenever it happens, there was no matter if I would have saved her at that time, had I not went to sleep that night, and I would have stayed up and just out of some reason and went down and saved her and stopped her, she probably would have tried it again or again. And initially I didn't understand that, but I began to understand and accept that, as time went on. That was not me. I gave her a good life. I was good to her. I treated her like she was supposed to be treated. So there was nothing that I had to blame myself. And so all I do is I just cherish the good times, and I learn from it. I learned from the different lessons that I went through it. And it just it was one of the things that made me who I am today. I think I'm a pretty good person, but, it just made me look back to understand, appreciate more of relationships, be it with my athletes, with my wife, or I don't have a wife right now, but with my girl, or with my kids, or with my friends. It's all that stuff you just appreciate, because the one thing people say, what's the one thing that sticks out about that moment more than anything? If I remember, she passed away, it was at 9:00 on the dot on January the 21st. Is when it happened. And I remember I was standing right beside her. I was with her, And when she took her last breath, she looked right at me. I remember seeing it. And I remember immediately to my right looking, and there was a clock directly at the end of her bed. And I could saw the clock. The hands never stopped moving. And for some reason, it was symbolism that this woman worked like she worked tirelessly at the post office. Her job and her route was never not run. And when she passed, that clock continued to tick. So in retrospect, when I look back at it, that was a symbol to me that no matter how much I work I put in here and there, somebody can replace me eventually. They will. I mean, not they can, they will, and whatever I do. And the time will never stop. So it's very important to cherish the time that we have when it comes to relationships, friendships, loved ones. And, because I ain't gonna lie, I used to be the worst. Sean will tell you, I would get up, I would be there early, I would stay till all hours, I'd be looking at film. I would it was just something I always did. And I'll always have that work ethic because that's just what I'm made of. But the point is you learn to, okay, now what I'll do is I'll say, all right, the girl I'm engaged to now, her name is Jill. I'll be like, it's time for me to go see Jill now. I'm stopping. And I'll stop. And I'll go take time to do that. And that's just the way it is. There is no, I'm just going to finish, I'm going to that period. That's just, it'll get done when it gets done. I guess that's kind of where I grew from that. I don't know how all that came from. That simple question that you asked me. But that's kind of something it's kind of like a little testimony in a sense of how that related. So in a sense, faith in the Lord, faith in just all that stuff, and the counseling. I went counseling twice a week. You got another thing you can ask Sean, he'll tell you too, is it's almost like I overdo everything. Like if I build stuff and it takes 4 nails, just out of my mind for some reason, I'll put 8 nails in it just because that's just the way I am. And and so I went to 2 different counselors. I went twice a week until eventually counselor told me, Chris said, you can keep coming if you want. I don't have a problem. Your insurance keeps paying. He said, but you're fine. You're okay. And I was like, all right, we're good then. So I know that has nothing to do with wrestling, but that's kind of how I got here to all this stuff right here.
I'm glad to see that you're dealing with that fine and you're healthy now. And it's a terrible epidemic that went through Alabaster for a couple of years there. I hate to see a community rock like that year after year, but hopefully that's behind us now, and we can. It was,
but the Lord has a plan in everything He does. He puts us in certain places around certain people and puts things to happen for reasons to make us who we are. We have to learn to accept that, and we don't ever understand it, but but usually when we look in hindsight, look back, we kind of see why this happened. That's the way I perceive things now.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that clock keeps ticking story.
It's just, it's so, I don't know. It really just burned in my, it's just something I never forget. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. And you told me before the show that you missed coaching EJ Elliott by a year.
I did.
All these little reminders of how precious and short life is, and you Dylan Turner, and every show I try to wear a t-shirt that kind of pertains to the show topic. This isn't exactly about you, but I got my Lana Turner support shirt this week, and I've been waiting to wear it on the show. And Dylan's sister is battling leukemia at the hospital, and that's a great family.
It is, and the funny thing about that family is Miss Turner, Danielle, she loved wrestling. It took me a year to convince her that it was okay for Dylan to do it. She'd always come up to school every time. She'd go, "Who's Dylan fighting today, Coach Pike?" I say, "I don't know, Danielle. I have no idea who he's wrestling. And he's fighting, isn't he?" I said, "Yeah, he's going to wrestle today." It took her about 2 years to quit calling his matches fights, and she was so nervous. But then when he got his second year after he put the work in, he started having success. All of a sudden, I could see her starting to become that wrestling mom in the crowd that was starting to yell moves and say something. I said, "Yep, she's hooked." Yeah, and ever since.
Was she a team mom?
Oh, she was. She's right on. Once she got hooked, she was in, and she was one of the best ones I've had. I love Miss Turner.
That's great. So, Sean, you have some questions written down for Chris?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So I've been going through my computer right here, trying to look for something, and I'm hoping I can share this with y'all if I could figure out how to do it. Share screen. Oh. Host disabled attendee screen sharing. I'm sorry.
I did?
Well, I'll have to, yeah.
I did? That's not cool at all.
Yeah.
Hope it's not a picture of 250 pound lady with no haircut going into her the first day.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, there's a story that goes along with this. And so.
Right. Try it now. I think I changed the setting. All right.
Oh, I'm telling what this is.
I can't wait.
I know what I hope it is.
Well, so.
Hold on. I haven't shared it yet. I haven't shared it yet.
Okay.
We can't talk about it yet.
Well.
All right. Hold on. Here we go.
Yes.
That popped up on the memories just the other day.
Oh, yeah.
So can you explain what is going on here with you and Barnes here?
I love Barnes. You got basically that's back when I remember. It's been about 5-6 years now, I think. But we were getting ready for the
2014.
Yeah, so it's been 6 years. So we had the state games, and a bunch of the kids were like, "Won't y'all wrestle, coach?" So I'm like, "That's a pretty good idea. Y'all need to do that."
Well, no. So, I was like, "Hey, Chris, you need to know what the kids are going through.
Yeah.
You need to know what they're thinking before a match. You need to know. You need to be in their shoes." And Chris,
what year is this?
This is 2014. He just got to Thompson.
Oh, so this is when you started doing the P90X all together?
This is right after I lost weight. Yeah, I lost because I was 250 when I got there, so I was about 50 pounds after I got there.
So Chris, he was like, "Look, I don't want my first match to be in front of the kids here at home at Thompson." So he ended up, I think him and his son went to Georgia.
And Jeff Williams.
Yep. And they went to wrestle in the Georgia State games.
Yes.
And then the next weekend, he ended up, him and Barnes ended up wrestling, and I did a whole promo. There's more pictures than that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can insert them into the video here, so you just send them along. And
all right.
That was great. I remember back when it happened. That was hilarious.
Yeah, Saxon was
so
there.
was there a physique portion of the competition, or is it just wrestling?
It was just wrestling.
Yeah.
Just wrestling.
It looked like a Mr. Olympia type pose off there.
Oh, every week we did stuff like that. We just constantly did stuff like that. I guess it was the season was over, so we just did it for. I guess I don't remember what time frame, how we set it up. Was it the summertime?
It was the summer because it was state games.
Yeah, that's right. So it was like during camp and stuff, like after camp or something.
So you're gonna pass this.
So that was my little history for him. But I got a better question, I guess. So what is it that you are going to do at Hewitt-Trussville different than from our program?
Well, it's a good question. Really not. They're not a lot different in a sense because I feel like the communities are very similar and they mirror themselves a lot. From the cities to the schools to the, just the demographics in a sense. I think there's a lot of the same type stuff. My schedule that I have will be very similar. And from my teaching to schedule to practice, my facility, the room, I have the room will be about the same size as kind of what we had on mat space wise, not the other stuff around.
It's a pretty nice room they have at Hewitt.
It is pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a lot of stuff. I guess it's kind of some stuff I have to, as we get going and we figure it out, we'll kind of see. But there's not really a lot different because what we did works, and and you just have to adjust as we go through and see what fits these kids and what don't fit these kids, and just kind of adjust as I go. I guess this kind of goes back to what he's getting at. I know what he's getting at, all right, in a little bit. It's because when I first got there, and I still a lot like this, I structure everything. I'm going to do this, and this. And he's like, and then I would say, hey, how are we going to do our workouts? We'd go out for 7th period. I go, what are we going to do today? He go, I don't know. I said, well, that's not a good answer. I said, we got 45 minutes to do this. He goes, that's not exactly what I want. I said, so after about 5 years.
That's not what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling it.
So basically what we do is you kind of get a feel for the kids, and you just kind of go with it. And the kids just kind of expect this. So they go with it. Now, am I going to go full all out like that? No, that's not my personality. I'm not able to do that. I have to plan, and I have to have a structure. But in a sense, that's just now in this point in my career, after going through all that for nearly a decade, that's my outline. And then I fill in with my feelings as we go. Because I did find us a fun box. It's actually an abandoned shed that has all I had to do is fix the doors. All I got to do. That was sitting out there right beside an old soccer field in the middle of the woods beside the high school. The school keeps cut and everything. So I'm like, this is perfect. There's trails out there. There's a creek right there. There's a lake. So if Jordan was on our team, I would lose him because he would go fishing. Just ties into the Cava River. So there's all kinds of stuff that we can do. The old caveman stuff that we used to love to do. There's a weight room directly beside our room. So therefore, there's a lot of stuff we can do with that for that particular stuff. I mean, obviously wrestling, it'll adapt based off the kids that we have and what they can do and what they're unable to do. One difference is instead of me coaching high school football, is I'll be doing middle school football there, because I told them I need to be doing that because there's some other people that are there, and and they'll try to recruit, but I kind of trust myself to recruit them more than anybody, and they're going to come up and practice with us just like what we did. And they always say, how are you going to do that number? I said, we had plenty of numbers at Thompson. I said, we'll make it work. I said, once we get to where our matches and stuff start and tournaments start, I said, everybody's not going to be in there anyways, so it's not really a big deal. And so, I mean, a lot of the stuff's going to be similar to what we did because it worked. So why change what works? I mean, obviously it will adjust some of the stuff based off what our kids are able to do and not do. And that'll all, as we go through, I will not be so headset in my, say, we're doing this. I will just feel it.
See, one of the things why me and Chris worked so well is because he was a planner, and I'm a fly by my seat kind of guy. And so, I mean, it was like a opposites type working. I mean, it was perfect.
The odd couple.
It's my
and Chris is Felix Unger, apparently.
Yeah. So I guess that answer. If that answers your question, that's the answer to it.
So, Chris, I need to know if you've ever seen a spider doing push-ups in a mirror.
I do not think I have.
Allow Greg to demonstrate.
That's pretty good. I've never seen it.
We worked on that all weekend.
Yeah. That's why I have nothing to do but spider on a mirror.
You're gonna have to build something around that for practice.
Yeah,
I do this like all the time. So
you didn't even know what you were doing.
I didn't. I just sit there and do it.
Spider doing push-ups in a mirror. So go on,
sorry.
John. Go on. Oh, now he's gonna.
Well, I was wondering if you got that other picture.
Yes, you ready for that? You haven't got a story about that one?
So wait. Let's. Can you go to the one with Pike on his face? So, Chris, stop me if I'm wrong, but this one was.
This came up.
Didn't you show up late? Didn't you show up late that one time for
this came
practice?
up on my feed. This came up on my feed the other day too. I almost sent it to Sam.
So that's Sam Latona right there in the red, and Dom Latona is right there doing push-ups with him because Dom was saying, Mike, you're doing push-ups wrong here. And so he was like, I'll do them with you. So that was the one and only time Chris was late for practice there and had to do push-ups. But my favorite one, and this is one where all his people from Hewitt-Trussville need to know going into, okay? Chris Pike.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Hates mayonnaise. Okay? And at Wendy's, we're traveling and we're in St. Louis, and we stop at Wendy's to eat. And he told the lady 3 different times. He was like, look, no mayo, no mayo, no mayo. Don't put mayo on it. I just want it plain, no mayo, you know. And he was adamant about it. And he was so hungry when she gave that to him. He ate half of it, like in 2 bites. That's another thing with Chris Pike, okay? He can eat really quick. He'll eat within 3 minutes a full meal, okay? And he'll finish it. So 2 bites into this sucker, he's halfway done, and he goes, he's gonna throw up. And I was sitting there dying laughing, and all the kids were watching this. And so Hewitt-Trussville people, okay, if you're watching this, please get this man some mayo and try to sneak it in every one of his meals.
Oh,
okay, every time y'all eat.
Hey. Gabe Hicksonball's personal mission in the rest of high school was to try to find ways to get mayonnaise around him. That was his whole thing. That just made him so happy. He would just bring packets and put them on my desk when I had him in class. I'm like, Gabe, you just lost 5 points. Your grade's getting lower by the day, buddy.
Wow. Who knew we would learn so much about you, Chris? I thought it was all going to be about wrestling, and here's Sean manipulating all of your team against you.
A lot of people used to get mad at us. You know, a lot of people would get mad at us all the time at Thompson because they thought we were like, this is probably what I enjoyed the most is we'd go to tournaments through the year and matches, whatever. We just have fun. We're just picking things to have fun with the kids. And yes, the kids are pretty good. So they were usually winning, but we're making fun of them, getting the other kids to make fun of them. We're having fun and we're laughing, and people are getting mad at us. And they're angry because they think we're picking on them and think we're making fun of them. And we're like, no, like we're just making fun of our own kids. People would get so angry at that.
We weren't talking about your kids.
No. I remember like one time I'll never forget, we're actually at Trussville, and we had Reed Jacks so mad. I don't even remember what it was about. He was so angry at something, and he had to go wrestle this kid from Southside, and he beat him so bad that time. And he's like, and we were all sitting there laughing and making fun of him the whole time. I think that might have been the same time we had the Justin Berry Finger Tower of Power. That was.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I mean, there's just so many little things like that because let's be honest, wrestling's kind of a grind, you know? So, you know, that's one thing. It's kind of like it's best if you learn to have fun when you go to all this stuff. So the kids want to keep doing it, because if you don't, they get burnt out. They get to state tournament. They're like, God, I wish this would end. So that was another thing. Is like, we want to have a lot of fun with it, but you still work hard, but you just want to have fun with it. You know, hopefully I can bring that too, because you know, I want the kids to have, because the more fun you have, more kids want to come out. That's a good thing. Yes, so we had lots of fun, especially all these. There's so many stuff. You go on these trips. I can think of some crazy stuff that's happened.
Greg, you got any Chris Pike stories? I know you got to drop off soon, but.
No, I think one of the funniest things I saw was we were at, we were in North Alabama somewhere at a tournament, and Seth Woodlock, he wasn't mad. He was playing around. He took his headgear off and he threw it down like he was mad. And Pike saw him and he threw his clipboard and we just grabbed him and just went to town on him. And everybody's going, he was just kidding. It was too late. Yes, he felt the wrath.
We did that stuff to Whitlock on a regular basis. That's what he responded to.
So when you had the interview for the Hewitt job, which was one of the big openings this offseason, what was the toughest question they asked you?
I mean, I don't really know if there was a really tough question in a sense, because my whole thing is when you're really passionate about something and you love to do something and you're passionate about a place, and I love wrestling. I love being around the kids. I love my hometown as well. So, and just the fact of having an opportunity to go home and try to bring what we had there here, hopefully, and try to be successful to that level here if possible. Then, I mean, it was just, I don't know. I probably talked too much during it, to be honest with you, because I got going and going and going, and we started.
He gave you the job just to shut you up, basically.
Yeah.
Is what
Well, I mean, we went when I went to meet with him, when I went and met with the athletic director, the first time, and it was on a Saturday afternoon, and this was before, probably about 3 weeks before the corona hit, and I went over there, and it was about 5 o'clock on a Saturday, which people have a lot of stuff going on. They don't really want to deal with that. So we went over to the school, and we sat there for nearly 3 hours. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it was just stuff we were talking about constantly. I was bringing stuff in. So, the big thing about Trussville Ally is obviously it's home, but if you look in the program, it has a very rich history going all the way back to 1960. It's got a lot of many state champions and state placers individually. It's got 3 state championship teams. It's got 5 teams that have finished in the top 2. So it's got a very good history that's not even really being displayed, that a lot of these kids should be proud of and should want to be like, they should be, they should want to do that. These people, we have our wall of fame. That's something that we're going to implement as soon as.
They don't have a wall of fame there?
They will here shortly, but they don't yet.
That's good. Yeah.
Because I've been doing all the research, all that stuff for the state placers, state champions, the coaches, the MOWs for state tournament, and then also on top of that, I started thinking about it. There's multiple the Wrestling Hall of Fame members from the school too. Off the top of my head, there's Jeff Saxon and Tony Pugh. And so there's a lot of history to build off of. And and people say, well, why is that? What's the big deal? It is a big deal, because when a kid comes in and they see this wall full of stuff, they're like, oh, I mean, this is good. And it just makes you want to be up there. I can remember I remember this just stuck out in my mind one day. We were having a camp. No, it was practice. It was actually a regular practice. And, our middle schoolers and our high schoolers will sit and practice with each other. And our high schoolers, they get beat on when our middle schoolers get beat on by high schoolers as they get, and then eventually they kind of do it. But they take care of each other and they become a program. I remember I was sitting by the wall one day, and this one little middle schooler, he was just mouthing off, and he was actually wrestling Riley, my son. And so I was kind of just sitting there, and that kid was just mouthing off. And guess Riley punched him, and that kid, he said something to him. He just pointed up to the wall. He said, "When your name's up there, then you can talk to me. Until then, just shut up." And I started thinking, yeah, that is, I didn't realize the kids looked at it to that way. I did the same thing at Pelham. If you go in Pelham's room, there's a big.
Yeah, so he's the guy that took me down off the wall at Pelham.
This is true. I did. I did, but I didn't throw the picture away. I think I gave it to you or left it in the office or something. I don't remember. But I did. I went to and redid all of Pelham's room because I was like, and I did research all the history and
he was like, Sean, all right, there we go.
He doesn't deserve to be up there.
Yeah.
Another thing kids like are records. I don't know if anyone has detailed records at Hewitt.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That I would love to do that because we did, but the difference is like this goes all the way back. There's no way I could figure out the records because if it was just during the track era, yeah, but going all the way back, there's no way. And and the thing is, obviously with Sean starting Thompson and running all the way through it, obviously he has all those records, so they'll be that way.
It was a little bit easy to keep up with that.
So it is what but I don't have that information, but I do have, state placers, and I've done all that. And I reached out to, actually the other day, I reached out to Knutson because he'd been researching the MOWs for all the state tournaments, so I could get that information, so I could add that in. And, so it's just, there's a lot of stuff. And it's like, a lot of stuff to be proud of. I mean, we have good resources. We have big, massive one-piece mat, I talk, we've got 5 other mats total. So, I mean, we have that, so we can host tournaments. We have stuff in the room. We have a lot of kids with ability that have, I think last year they took 7 kids to the state tournament last year. I want to say it was 7. No, they took 9, and 7 of them were 10th grade and below. So, I mean, they had a, pretty young core group that went through. So, I mean, and they should have a pretty good, there's a pretty good group of kids coming through if we can keep them to come out and supplement them with some other football stuff. Probably the big thing when I talked with the athletic director that they were really big on is he was talking about one of that they've been trying to do here recently is they want to unify the sports and have, in a sense of, they want more kids being multiple sport athletes, and that's kind of a big deal in the school right now, which I kind of thought was a big deal to me because I remembered when, obviously I like to see kids do multiple sports, but when I was going through school, I started out, I was going to do wrestling and baseball and football, and then it became football and baseball. And then at that point, I was talked into being I remember I was sat down and they said, look, you need to play football. That's what you're going to do. And I was like, okay. And so that's what I did. And I look back on it, and that's probably the one thing I regret is not doing multiple stuff. Yeah, I went to college. I played football. Big deal. But the point is I think looking back on it, I would have done multiple. And I kind of use that to get others to do that. Now, some kids, they just, they don't want to, and that's fine. As long as it's their choice and they're not pressured by other people to do it, that's kind of a big deal to me, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I had a show with Dr. Robert Wolf a few, maybe a month ago, and we talked about specialization of sports at young ages, and it causes so many injuries too. So it's always good to get kids involved in different sports using different muscles throughout the year so that they don't burn out. And
some people say, well, your son was just a wrestler in high school. Yeah, but my son played football all the way up until he got into high school. And then he came to me one day. I remember I was in the kitchen one day. He said, I just want to wrestle. I don't want to play football anymore. I said, well, that's your choice. I mean, I didn't make that choice for him. I didn't, nobody pressured. That was his choice because he wanted to be a year-round wrestler. That was not from anybody else pressuring him to do that, And so I think if a kid wants to do that on their own, that's what they feel, that's fine. And there's going to be a lot of kids like that, but there's not,
I remember being very relieved when Manny after 8th grade said he didn't want to play football anymore, because that's when all the concussion information started coming out.
I was kind of glad because I knew that, Riley wasn't very big. So, so I knew that eventually that was going to be his better ticket to be more successful was in wrestling than it was in football. So I was like, I was kind of glad for that, but I wasn't going to push him that way, I guess is what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I'm very aware of the concussions. I had plenty of those in college, so it's not a fun
thing. What's Riley up to these days?
He is a mechanic. He lives in Mississippi with his grandmother currently, and he still comes back to Alabaster every other weekend, and Anna Grace drives to Mississippi the other weekend. And so they've been together since they were freshmen in high school. And so they're still going strong. And the girls are doing good. They're rocking along now, trying to teach Katie how to drive now. It's kind of chaotic. And, Maggie thinks it's funny. But everything's good there, So, I've had I've been through a lot of stuff in coaching, out of coaching, in life and everything. And it's a lot of good, a lot of bad, but, I don't really have any regrets with any of it. I think it's all been for a reason, and so I'm really, I've been fortunate to have a lot of good people be around, I remember like when I was in college, my coach was Bobby Johns. He was a really good man, a good leader. And I learned a lot from him. He gave me my first coaching job, and then I worked with different people that I worked with throughout. But when I got to football and wrestling, but probably when I got to working with Sean, that was probably a really big thing. And because of the different things I learned a lot about, I learned a lot about wrestling, obviously, but more so, I learned more about dealing with people because, teaching, I told them this in the interview. I said, you're going to find people that are better than me on the mat, I'm sure, but I'm going to do a better job of managing people, making the kids feel loved, getting the most out of them, and reaching the max potential for this particular program. And I really feel that way because of my passion for the kids, for the city, for the school, and for the sport and everything else. And and every now and then I'll just start rambling, I guess, and so it's what it is. But I've been around a lot of great people. I have Sean, and then I working with Coach Nix. Coach Nix is one of the most God-fearing men I've ever been around. And Coach Hatmaker too. He was our defense coordinator at Penson last year too. They're the type of people who cuss or drink or whatever they want to do. When they get around them, they're like, I think I'm gonna put this aside for now. I saw many people that I don't drink or anything, but I would say other people they're like, I don't think I'm gonna do that while they're around. And just because they have that radiate that really strong Christianity that comes off of them, and it's really refreshing. And the kids loved it too, and they were they were very firm with them, and the kids knew that. They kept on saying. And then Coach Hicks, Coach Hicks is probably the biggest. He did a lot of things very well, and I love working with Matt. He's a friend of mine for a long time. Probably one of the biggest gifts that I think Matt has when I was around him. It's like he just makes the kids want to run through brick walls for him. He's a very motivational guy. He's good. He knows what he's doing in wrestling. He's a good wrestling coach. He's a good football coach. I assume he's a good softball coach when he was, but he's very passionate about the sports he does. But the thing is the kids feel love. So for the kids, they're willing to. He can do whatever he wants with them. He don't cuss them or anything, but he's hard on them, and they'll run through brick walls for him. And so that was kind of his strength. And so I kind of like just being around the different people and seeing their strengths and seeing how I could mold myself in more strengths and weaknesses and stuff.
Well, that's great. I'm excited for your program and see what you do with it. Is it a rebuilding year for Hewitt?
I don't really think so. I feel like we have several kids that were state placers. I feel like we'll be competitive. I don't know how competitive. Obviously, the safe answer to say, yep, it's rebuilding. We're gonna be, but I'm not gonna do that because that would be false. I know they had you had two kids,
He just said it like a minute ago, like all those kids are like sophomores and younger.
Yeah,
so they're going to be juniors.
So we had one freshman that finished third in the state. I want to say it is last year, and you had one of the twins finish third, and then the other one.
I was trying to take the pressure off of you, but now
I'm putting it on him.
Yeah, now you got to win it. So
I wouldn't say that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like we're going to be a competitive team. I feel like we'll have a chance to be competitive. Now, what happens. I don't know. I ain't even been around the kids yet. So that's something that I'm trying. That's going to be happening here in the next few days.
Hopefully they bring a lot of mayonnaise.
It'll definitely be my kryptonite. I just don't understand how anybody could eat that crap. It's just awful. Who would
you just wait till we get to a tournament or a state tournament, and I'm going to put mayonnaise all over your food.
Oh.
So when you have a duel, is it the mayo bowl or what?
Oh yeah, it's going to be cool. Miracle Whip.
I just see it. And I'm
Sponsored by Miracle Whip.
It just makes me want to cringe when I see it. I was like, oh, but it is what it is now. I don't know. When it comes to, honestly, I don't think it's a rebuilding year, but also I'm not saying we're going to go out and win a state. I think we're going to be competitive. That's all I can ask. Now it's my job to make sure we do that. But
I think isn't there a hole in that part of the state for youth wrestling?
There will be there is going to be a youth program. That was part of my thing. I talked with them, and and so we're going to do a satellite group. Ironclad does a lot of stuff out of our area over here too, because Jake's from Hewitt-Trussville, and all his brothers. But Marcus is probably going to come do some work with us, and we're going to do a satellite out of our thing for during the season for the youth kids to do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that. So there used to be a lot of youth, and then well, y'all know that part.
There was Trussville and Clay both had clubs right next to each other, and now they're both gone.
Well, there was Trussville youth, and then this other coach came in and to the Trussville area, and then he left. And at that time, there's really not really been one back in there since that particular coach left the area. And so that's going to change this year. And actually, some of y'all may know, today actually I was going to the YMCA over here in Trussville. I walked in and I ran into actually Dawson Pratt, who used to be the youth coach for the Trussville Takedown Club for many, many years. And so he was, he's not going to do it now, but he's going to be around the program stuff, because he was actually the first year Riley ever wrestled in his life. I carried him over there to Trussville. I was at Pell City, so we went to the Trussville Takedown Club, and him and Heath were partners for the first time. That was their first partners, and they also ended up wrestling each other in the state finals, their first state finals match. But It's kind of ironic. But they ended up. I talked with him about it, and we're definitely gonna have a youth program start, back up. But they've had a lot of kids that still been doing youth. They've just been going to Ironclad where they've been going. So
Ironclad is building a new facility downtown, aren't they?
Well, what they did is they took over an old bank down there. I want to say it's a South Trust Bank. It's right there by the St. Vincent's down there. And so they're fixing it up. He'll be in there for probably 2 years, and then he'll be moving on to somewhere else, more likely to another location. But that's where he's at currently, is where Jake's at right now.
So that leaves a hole in Mountain. He was at Mountain Brook in Chelsea. Is he going to still?
But it does, but it doesn't, because what they're doing is they're going to still use some of those sites, but they'll just have a satellite. So they'll just have like 2 days a week. They'll send a coach to this particular site. Like say Marcus, you're responsible for Chelsea and Trussville. So maybe on Monday and Wednesday he would do Chelsea, and Tuesday and Thursday do Trussville, and they do practices, something like that. So that way they could still, and it wouldn't leave a hole in those particular areas, those cities. But yeah, they could still, because when you're in the actual season of you have youth kids coming, but you don't really have, high school kids don't really come much for the most part, because it's, you're not really able to, being in season, etc. What are you grinning at back there so much? You're giving me, there's something going through your head that is sinister right now.
Oh, come on. I was thinking about mayonnaise.
Yeah, right.
He's always plotting. You might want to get some cameras in your parking lots. See if he's like leaving briefcases in people's cars.
I'm amazed at some of the stuff that he thinks of.
Yeah.
People say, "What's the first thing about Sean?" I said, "He's artistic." They said, "What's that mean?" I said, "He's artistic." He's always sitting there drawing stuff up or making stuff up or just coming up with these plans of stuff to do. That's what he's doing all the time.
It wasn't autistic. It was artistic.
Not autistic, artistic.
A little bit of,
He's artistic. He's good as gold.
I had my ADHD shirt on right before the show.
Oh, that's it.
And that would have been for you.
That's big me. Yeah, that'd be me.
So you guys will have to come up to the lake and join Greg and I on the SS Matburn.
That sounds. Oh, I've seen videos that he's posted on the boat. It looks like a lot of fun. Which lake do you go to?
Went to Logan Martin.
Ah, there you
Y'all
go.
come on out. Come on out.
Which part of Logan? My grandmother lives on Logan Martin. Which part?
Bell City.
Okay. They live on Lincoln side, right past Riverside, where they live. So, yeah, I know Pell City quite well. Been up there a few times. About 5 years worth. I've had some stories from that place.
We create our own stories.
Do
There
what?
you go.
Yeah, it's a mayonnaise-free zone. You'll be welcome. It'll be fun.
Oh, that sounds like a good place to go.
But the problem is that Greg, the reason it's mayonnaise-free is because Greg uses it for like sunbathing oil, rubs it all over him.
It keeps me moist.
Yeah.
Moist. It'll dry out.
It helps with the burns too.
Good stuff.
Yeah. The ducks like it.
Not on me. They just
No. No.
He's got birds constantly eating off of him.
So, Sean, unless you got some more.
No, I'll
mental
I'll
games.
pull them out when the time's right.
Yeah. All right. So we'll have you back, Chris, during the season to see how you're doing with the kids. Check in on your progress, how your wall is coming along.
You need to do it on location, so you can, everybody can see.
Yeah, we'll go on location. Absolutely. I was talking to Shad today about doing on location at Warrior because I believe the club's opened up again.
It is officially, you can now go to gyms and stuff now. So
yeah, so
I'm really curious.
We're gonna take the show on the road, right, Greg?
That's right. Very good.
And now, are you going to do Zoom things when during the season, and highlight the duel? That kind of thing, and do
if you'll let us
play-by-play
match
stuff.
of the week.
Yeah,
do a match of the week. Yeah. Build it up, and
that's right.
You let us know. You just let us know what match. Anyone listening, let us know what match you want Greg and I to commentate on and
you flash up your email and your text messaging.
We'll flash Sean's.
I'm glad y'all do this. I'll be honest with you. I actually look forward. I watch all these. As long as I catch them, I try to watch them all. I've enjoyed watching them. I think it's a great thing. I think once we get going into the season, maybe we could get some kids on there from different programs to talk about how they perceive stuff. May not be as long, but I think it'd be good. Maybe have a match of the week. Of course, obviously you got the Vision Quest week that that we always did, but there's a lot of rivalries around that look at too. I think it'd be a pretty cool thing.
So did you get your log, Sean? Sean, did you get the
log? No, Jason was supposed to buy it.
Jason hasn't even been on the show in the last 5-6 episodes. I don't know what's
That's terrible because I was waiting for his little 20 question things or whatever.
I know. He's the personality. Greg is the looks. So, that's what keeps the show going. We got to keep these guys coming back. Brandon's the brains. So
I thought he was the younger age crowd.
I just happen to have.
It was the draw for the younger age.
Yeah, but he just got married, so he just ruined it. He was the babe catcher.
Now Pike's gonna do that.
Oh yeah. Well, you're welcome to be a guest host anytime, Chris.
Oh, if I'm free,
this will be the signal. Wrap it up.
I'll be doing that all the time. The kids would make fun of me at Thompson because I would be doing stuff like, Coach, can you try not to talk with your hands for a second? And after about 2 seconds, I'm like, forget y'all. I'm not dealing with it. So, I can't do it. So I would be doing this all the time, constantly.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. We've gone over our hour. No one can pay attention for that long, so we'll have to cut it off. But,
all right, hey, he's got to do a lead-in.
Oh, you want – okay, give us this is Chris Pike, and you're watching Matburn.
This is Chris Pike, and you're watching Matburn, and go Huskies.
Oh, nice. We haven't had one of those yet.
There you go.
Little ad-lib there.
There we go.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all having me. I seriously, I do enjoy all these. I look forward to watching them, so keep doing it. You're doing a good job.
All right. We will make sure we come by for the Miracle Whip Mayo Bowl. Whatever it happens. Where is that this year? Is it?
I got to schedule a duel, Sean. Anyways, that's one thing I think was on my list of things to do.
See, he's got a list. I just wait till it comes up.
John just waits to see where the bus takes him.
There is. Hey, you'd be amazed. Every week I would send out an email Greg tell you about this, and it would say what we're doing. Every team's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Sean would go, so where am I going this week? I'm like, you're going here, here, here. You're like, that was pretty regular.
Who's in the lineup?
Hey, I'll never forget. That was probably some before they split.
Hey, he did cost us a duel.
Oh,
Because of his lineup.
True.
really?
But we used to do. I used to love when we did our fantasy drafts. We would line the kids up on the wall, and then we would go through the board. We draft them, and we had some good times with those. I'll never forget. The kids loved that. They thought that was the most fun thing.
Greg and I have some great footage from the last Vision Quest duels that we commentated on.
Sponsored by?
That was the most fun I ever had commentating. But at the end, there was pandemonium on the mat. And you remember that one? I won't release the video, but
I think you
that one very
should.
well.
should I?
I remember that one very well. That gets to start back.
That one was great. I'll just wait until the official signing comes in before I release that video.
That was actually when Bull was wrestling. And before that match, when we started, the referee hadn't seen Bull all year. Bull wrestled, talking about Jerry McCarthy. He had wrestled 160 the previous year. He was wrestling 220 that year. He walked out on the mat, and the official went, wait a minute. He walked over to me and goes, is this the same kid that did 160 last year? I said, yeah, he got on a weight plan this all season. I'll never forget. Oh, it was so fun.
There was a great heavyweight match that year from Muskelly and
EJ.
And TJ Ram.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'll find that video.
I remember that very well. Now that you say that.
That was.
All right, I got to run. I got to cook supper.
Yeah, me too. But thanks a lot, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.